Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I want to talk to you about the latest episode of Stargirl. It was called Summer School Chapter 12. It starts off where we see Courtney's dog going nuts in the house, getting into stuff and whatnot, and it winds up being chased by Cosmo, which is apparently back at full strength. We then flash back 4 hours to Beth and Jenny visiting the site of the Big Rumble, which was apparently only a week ago in universe. And they find some dark energy residue, which I guess had registered with Jenny's ring and sort of led them there. Jenny then destroys it. Now out of the Shadow Zone, Dr. McNider puts on some shades that work just like the goggles, and he wants to go after Eclipso, who apparently isn't using a host anymore. At least that's what he says. He says Eclipso is vulnerable to light, especially when wielded by people who have the light within, like Courtney. Pat says he's not sure if the kids are ready to take on the fight, but the doctor says he thinks that Beth is, and he's been, of course, communicating with her for a while, so that's his assessment. Cindy now is with Courtney at her house and is willing to help defeat Eclipso and vows to behave until that happens, and she can then leave Blue Valley. Pat wants to see about freeing Rick from jail and fixing the hourglass. A news station reports that large food items are showing up around town, and we saw some of that last week when there was like a giant candy house, and I was like, what in the hell? So it's something that's been continuing. Hamburgers, different things are showing up. Gigantic sized. Courtney visits Yolanda and tells her that she's not alone, that the JSA has killed before, and that she needs her. But Yolanda was not receptive and said that she's never putting the costume on again because it's the costume of a killer. Pat visits Rick's uncle in the hospital, pleading Rick's case and asks him to drop the charges against Rick. But he writes Pat a note saying, go to hell. And Pat tells him off because he's a bad guy who takes advantage of people before he locks the hospital room door and draws the blinds, saying that when he meets people like Rick's uncle, he remembers how he can sometimes be a bad guy as well. And I was like, oh crap, Pat is going to kick the ass of a man in the hospital who can barely hold a pen. This is sort of evil. But yeah, that was that scene. Okay. Something briefly appears to menace Courtney's mother in the kitchen, but we don't know what. And it was in and out really quickly. But Courtney arrives, and she and her mom talk about what Courtney saw in the Shadowlands when she saw her mother basically saying, oh boy, I wish I didn't have this baby, pretty much. And her mother replies in a way that puts Courtney's doubts about her being a burden to rest. And again, we all know that was more Eclipso than anything else, you know, his false sort of visions that he's been perpetrating. Cindy meets with Yolanda, much to Yolanda's dismay, and gives her a hard time, seemingly for no reason. Mike meets with the kid who got the pen when he wished it into better hands several episodes previously, which of course came along with Thunderbolt. And apparently it's been him making all the food appear because he's been wishing for, oh, I'm craving a cheeseburger, and it would show up. I'm craving a chocolate cake, and it would show up. And he tells him that if he's going to keep the pen, he needs to accept the responsibility of owning it and help the JSA save the world. Pat picks up Rick from jail when he's released after his uncle dropped the charges, which when asked, Pat says he has no idea why he decided to do that. Maybe somebody roughed him up. It's a possibility. I don't know who could do that or who would do that, but maybe somebody, twisted his arm a little bit. After her visit with Cindy, Yolanda visits Courtney and says she will temporarily return the GSA to help keep everyone safe from Cindy, who she sees, I guess, as a threat to the JSA, given that she knows Cindy's hanging out with them. Okay. Meanwhile, Jenny seems to have some kind of a nightmare in her sleep, and it involves Eclipso. Courtney then goes to talk with Cindy when she realizes that Yolanda coming back was all Cindy's doing, and Cindy points out that Yolanda is already in touch with her dark side, and that she gives into it when she fights, and that Courtney had better learn to do likewise, or she's not going to make it. Because when it comes to Eclipso, you need to be bad. And she basically admits, yeah, I went and taunted Yolanda to make her feel like she had to come and be by your side, because I was around and so forth. So on the one hand, cool. On the other hand, what a bitch. Anyway, Rick starts going about fixing the hourglass as the team goes about various other tasks, preparing to take out Eclipso. Cindy seems to call in some reinforcements, though we don't really know who. And before the episode ends, we have a scene where Beth and Dr. Midnighter meet Eclipso in the form of that creepy little kid who says he wants the whole team to attack him so that Courtney will discover her darkness within. And Jenny seems to have a vision of this actually happening, and it was pretty creepy. And I guess we're going to see what that's about next episode. Now, I was confused here because Dr. Midnighter early in the episode says something about Eclipso's not using a host anymore. So, like, why are we still seeing this little kid? Like, I guess Dr. McNider was wrong? I don't know. And I still don't understand this whole kill the kid, Eclipso dies thing. If Eclipso is in the kid, and it doesn't make any sense. So, I don't know. We're going to have to see how it all wraps up. There's only a couple more episodes left. I will be back with a review of the next one once it airs. Until then, my friends, as always, I wish you peace and long life.